the indigenous sniper who made Nazi soldiers afraid to look up. One man made trained Nazi soldiers too afraid to raise their heads above the snow. They never saw him. Most never heard him. But they knew he was there. War usually isn't decided by one person. But sometimes, fear is. Have you ever wondered what it takes to make an entire army fear a single man? What kind of warrior turns disciplined soldiers into men afraid to even glance over their trenches? 1943, the Eastern Front. Winter here didn't just kill, it erased. Temperatures dropped so low that weapons froze in soldiers' hands. Footprints disappeared within minutes. Tire patrols vanished into endless white silence. And somewhere inside that frozen wilderness, German forces encountered something they had never trained for. Not tanks. Not artillery. A ghost. A shadow drifting through Finland's forest like smoke. His name was never meant to matter. In official records, he was listed simply as Private Samuel White, serial number 18,472,631. Born in 1921, in the harsh hills of New Mexico, on land belonging to the Navajo Nation long before borders were ever drawn. On paper, he was ordinary. 5'8", 153 pounds, brown eyes, black hair. But paper never tells the real story. Samuel didn't grow up learning survival from books. He learned it from the land. Before sunrise each morning, his grandfather would wake him. Together they walked into the desert, not to hunt. Not yet. First, to listen. The old man would make the boy stand completely still for an hour, sometimes two. No talking, no moving. Just listening. He learned the difference between wind through sagebrush and wind through juniper. He learned to feel the faint tremor of animals moving across the earth. Most importantly, he learned how to disappear. Not by hiding, but by becoming part of the world around him. By 12, Samuel could follow a deer for 3 days across rock and sand. By 15, he could hit a jackrabbit from 300 yards using his grandfather's one Winchester. But it wasn't the shooting that made him dangerous. Anyone can pull a trigger. Samuel understood something most soldiers never do. Patience kills faster than bullets. When war pulled America into the global conflict, Samuel enlisted quietly. No speeches, no ceremony. Just duty. At first, commanders underestimated him. He wasn't loud. He didn't boast. He rarely even spoke unless necessary. But wars have a way of revealing hidden talents. During joint operations in the brutal Northern Theater, Allied troops began noticing something strange. German patrols would enter the forest and not return. Officers would step out of cover and fall instantly. Always one shot. Always precise. Always from nowhere. Soon whispers spread through enemy lines. There was a sniper out there. One they could not locate. One they could not predict. Some soldiers refused to move without heavy cover. Others fired blindly into the trees, wasting ammunition at shadows. Had begun doing Samuel's work for him. What made him nearly impossible to stop was his discipline. He never fired twice from the same position. He packed snow around his rifle to prevent steam from giving away his location. He chose elevated ground where the pale winter light concealed him. And sometimes, he waited hours for a single shot, because he knew something many soldiers forget. The first shot is the only one that matters. German units reportedly began adjusting entire patrol routes, not because of artillery, not because of airstrikes, but because somewhere out there was a man who could see them when they saw nothing. Imagine the psychological weight of that. Every tree becomes suspicious. Every hill feels washed. Every silence feels dangerous. War is fought with weapons, but victory often begins in the mind. Yet someone never saw himself as a legend. To him, this was simply the extension of everything his grandfather had taught him. Respect the land. Move with purpose. Act only when necessary. And survive. When the war finally ended, there were no dramatic headlines waiting for him. No movie deals. No parades. Just a quiet return home. Like countless warriors before him, he carried his experiences privately. History remembers generals. It remembers massive battles. But sometimes, the course of war shifts because of individuals whose names almost disappear from the record. Men who mastered stillness in a world of chaos. Men who proved that size, noise, and power mean nothing against patience and precision. Because occasionally, the most terrifying presence on a battlefield is the one you never see. Samuel White never asked to be feared. He never tried to become a ghost. He simply became exactly what his grandfather trained him to be. Part of the landscape. And long after the snow melted, some soldiers would remember that feeling. The feeling of being watched by a man who was already gone. Subscribe for powerful true stories from history.